This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
That's good. All right. With that, I will call to order this meeting of the Easthampton Planning Board for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Public speak. Anybody here to speak to something not on the agenda? Something not on the agenda?
Something not on the agenda.
You want to speak to something on the agenda?
Something not on the agenda.
No, you do?
Okay.
Okay. Come right up. Name, address.
Good evening. My name is Don Jordan. I reside at 10 Sheldon Avenue in town. I'm here in my capacity as the chair of the Board of Trustees at Easthampton Congregational Church. Back in September, we started investigating the process of putting an electronic sign.
Oh, is this about the sign stuff?
Yes.
All right. So I will come to you when we get to we open our joint meeting, because that is on our agenda. All right. We do not have planning board minutes or an A&R. I'm sorry. Salem.
So just so you know, Jesse, what we have in front of us is a municipal exemption on the LED signs.
Yeah.
So that actually might be the public speak. Since it's not on the agenda, we probably can't speak to it because this is specific to the municipal exemption.
Oh, we can't revise this language here?
So this might be appropriate that it's in public speak.
That's what
I'll take that interpretation. Go for it.
Sorry.
Okay, so
Sorry for that.
that's what I did. So I'm well acquainted with this process. Okay, so picking up where I left off, I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees, and in September, we thought about putting a electronic sign on our property, met with a planning board, met with the building inspector, and everybody's for it, but the law's against it. So what we need is a modification of the ordinance covering electronic signs, because the building department, planning department tried to see if we could come up with a language that would thread the needle, if you will. And we kind of sort of did, but not to the point where the building commissioner would sign off on it. And so what we were told was, the problem is you can change the sign remotely. Okay. That's the issue. Well, and yes, you could promise not to do it and you could not do it. But the fact of the matter is the capability is still there. Having said that, it's in violation of the ordinance. So end of discussion. Very sorry, I'd love to help you, but so what we're saying, it wouldn't just be for our purposes, and it wouldn't be, you basically have Easthampton Congregational Church service at all welcome, like cultural chaos or art walk or whatever, or jubilation at Hillside Park. So that's what we're looking for, but we can't do it the way the ordinance is written. So what we're looking for is to see if you would entertain the notion of changing the ordinance so that it would accommodate electronic sign in the part of the town we're in. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Right. Jeff, do you want to say something? Or, I mean, I think what we do now is basically put this on our list, either for an agenda item or to do some research.
Yeah, let's go to them first. If I can just add some information during public speak for general knowledge, there is an electronic message board section and a definition. There's also a definition of a changeable sign, and the changeable sign says you can change the contents of the sign either manually or remotely. So there was one read of the church had the Easthampton Congregational Church part of the sign, and then underneath it would be programmable text. And I think that's where the discrepancy was. The building commissioner was not calling it a changeable sign. They were calling it an electronic message board, and it's not allowed anywhere except in the Mill District. So It's nuanced. We're all trying to work with the church, but it's a kind of a faulty definition there. Which part would this sign go under?
Process-wise, the information comes before us. Wouldn't it go to the ordinance subcommittee and then they bring it to us? Isn't that how that process would go?
It can go either way.
Yeah.
Well, just on that note, we'll get to this more once we actually get to the point at hand, but we very much recognized in our own deliberations that this ordinance as it stands is flawed and needs to be more broadly revised. Our reason for limiting it to a municipal exemption was largely that the city is not currently in compliance with its own law, and we felt that that was something that needed to be immediately addressed. But there is, we acknowledge that just times have changed. These signs are more widely used. We really do need to look more widely at electronic signs and probably our entire sign ordinance. But this was.
We had started, and I don't want to get too far down this either. We had spent months working on a revised sign ordinance right before Jeff got here. Jessica Allen working on that, and it is like a Herculean task, but it needs to be done, and that all makes sense.
And I will say that currently this is in the ordinance subcommittee. So we have this on our agenda, and this is the first piece of what we assume is going to be a larger section of this. So, I think probably for now, the appropriate thing to do would be to come to one of our meetings, and we can discuss it together without the open meeting law restraints, because it's on our agenda already. So tonight we just have a municipal exemption, so going back and forth we can't really do, but it just be aware it is on ordinance's agenda.
So excellent. All right, with that, we can open our meeting on the proposed amendment to section 10.04 signs with the exemption for municipal property. Folks.
Yeah, so can I have a motion to open the meeting with the planning board?
So those.
Yes, seconded. A motion and second. All of those in favor? Aye. We're in session.
All right, lay it on us.
Okay.
What are we doing?
I'm sorry to interrupt. We have a planning board member who's attending remotely.
Oh, yeah.
Can we confirm that he's available to unmute himself and
Yeah, Danny, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can confirm.
Okay, thank you, Danny.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, so what we have in front of us is basically a municipal exemption. So there's two factors in play here. One is the city is currently out of compliance with its own zoning ordinance. And two, the fire department is looking, they have access to a grant, which could potentially put one of these messaging centers at the fire department. So that being said, we felt that we wanted to move relatively quickly in order to make sure that those types of signs would be allowed, but also the movable type of signs that are electronic messaging centers, like they get put at the Rotary for the Mountain Road is closed. So because if you read the ordinance the way it was worded, those would be prohibited as well. And so we felt like that was enough to say, let's bring this forward and let's just do a blanket municipal exemption. So any use that the city determines is appropriate for this, we can do without interfering with our own zone.
Is there any municipal exemption in the current version, or is this a brand new section?
This is a brand new section of that
subsection.
one subsection.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's very simple. You probably all have it in front of you, but it's short and sweet.
For the record.
Yeah, so basically, it's to amend section 10.04 signs to add section 10.04 M7, exemption for municipal property. No provision of the section 10.04 of the zoning ordinance pertaining to electronic messaging center shall apply to municipal property or for municipal uses. This exemption shall apply to signs that are stationary, fixed, or mobile and movable.
Yes, sir.
It seems that the sense that I'm getting from you is that this is clearly necessary and it's an expediency because, as you said, I think it's on your agenda and you want to revisit this. Will you be hopefully removing this once you more permanently modify the sign ordinance to more broadly deal with the issue?
So this one piece is a standalone. So once we get the planning board's recommendation, we'll bring this to the full council, we'll vote on it. After this gets moved, then we're going to go back and revisit the whole, because the way it is set up now, the electronic messaging center ordinance is very restrictive. It is, only for buildings that are over 100,000 square feet in the mill industrial district. That's it. And then within that, there's a lot of very tight regulations about how often the text can move, how big it has to be, the colors, and all this. So we want to revisit that so we can take a broader look. And we also put in to review gas station signs as well, to make sure that we're up to speed and modernizing it. So these things can, if community members want to have one of these and it makes sense for the zone, that it can be done. So that's kind of our timeline.
One more question.
Yep.
My memory in this over the years is that there have been some pretty significant signage processes. The one before what we did with Jessica Allen that Chair Dr. Tim mentioned. Even before that, there were some big public meetings that were very contentious and involved a long process. We're just covering this now, but for me, this exists in the scope of what's to come. So my question is, that process that you'll have, is that something that'll involve community engagement as well?
Yeah, within the confines of our committee meetings and the public hearings. I would just say, you're right, the sign ordinance it was over 2 years of kind of workshopping with community stakeholders. It was a pretty arduous process. However, this was not in there. This was something that was brought to us later because some members on the council were afraid that we were going to look like Las Vegas. So there was a lot of fear because they were seeing signs in other places and they thought that was, so this was an add-on after that whole process.
Tom, did you have a question?
Yeah, just to Jim's initial comment. I said this part might stand because there in the future thing, just because like there might still be parts of town where, we might say that in a residential district, we don't want people having giant flashing electronic signs. However, we do want the city to be able to put up a big flashing electronic sign saying, don't turn down this road, it's closed because a tree went down or whatever. So there might still be a purpose for this municipal exemption, even after we widen the scope of places and uses where it is allowed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the planning board?
Seems straightforward.
Any comments or questions from the public?
Online.
Online, anybody? Comments, questions? I see nothing.
This is going to be a motion to recommend the ordinance subcommittee to proceed with this. Is that correct?
To the full council.
Oh, to the full council.
Yeah, because we take your recommendation and then our recommendation, we bring them together to the public hearing.
I motion to recommend to the city council that they add section 10.4. Second.
Voting to recommend, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Danny? Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. And we haven't taken an official.
That's right, we just sent it here.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion that we recommend this to full council.
Seconded. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, great working with you. All right.
Just a quick process question. So can you remind me of the next step? So it's not minutes, but is it a cover letter that you?
So it's a,
Yeah, I did a cover letter last time.
Yep, a cover letter to the council. And basically just saying that you recommended this section is good enough. Okay.
And then one more just process question that I had thought about making an annotated version of it, but it's very simple where I had it pulled up, but basically you're just adding a subsection in a sentence. So I don't know if that is something that the city council will want or need, or Yeah, just on its own without an actual.
Yeah, I don't think it
Just
would.
adding one sentence.
I think it would be.
existing. Okay,
Yep.
all right, great, that's all. Alex.
Great, all right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, please. All right, voting to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Excellent.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.